Okay, I think this is video number 7. And where am I at? I'm sitting on the bottom step of the stairs that go down into the basement of my house. And the reason I'm here is because of a story I'm going to tell that's where my dad sat when he skinned the mushrats excuse me, that he caught in the fall. Every fall he trapped, and he caught mostly muskrat and a few mink. And he would, after doing chores at night, milking the cows, and I was little, he'd come down here and sat right here and skinning those muskrat and mink out. And when he got them skinned, he had boards that were made out of cedar shingles, and they were shaped so for a muskrat hide or a mink hide, and he would stretch those hides over those shingles that were shaped pointed to the front, and stretch them on there and tack them on with some nails. And that was used to dry those hides. He'd take them out on the back screened-in porch, which is on the south edge of where it used to be. It was tore off, but it was on the south side of where my kitchen is now. And that was screened in, and he'd hang them up there on nails on the rafters so that they'd dry out. And then after trapping season was over, the buyer came. So I remember most of the time he sold to a fellow from Charlotte that run I believe a junkyard up there. I think his name was Santee. I remember him coming. He'd look the fur over and grade it and pay my dad and take them off those shingles, because they were dried then, and Dad would keep those shingles for next year and to scratch the hides on. The important thing about all this is that he caught enough fur in the fall to pay his taxes for a year on the whole farm. And that certainly has changed. Not only that, we had a road out here in front, a gravel road, which is just as good as a gravel road today. And we had United States Mail Service. We had a telephone, which is not as good as the telephone we got today, but it was a telephone. And of course we didn't have electricity back then. We had like I said before, the Delco plant. And but we did have that grocery truck that came along with candy on it, which we don't have today. But also, Uncle Vern trapped. And Uncle Vern did a lot of trapping. He trapped a lot of the Battle Creek River, which is west of us. And his wife, Aunt Hazel, would go with him, drop him off at one bridge and pick him up at the next road down. And of course he had to carry the fur, the muskrat and mink that he caught, and he'd unload them in the car and then go down to the next section. So he trapped a lot of area and he caught a lot of fur. I liked Uncle Vern because he was always involved in hunting and trapping and that sort of thing, more than my dad really. So I spent a lot of time hunting with him and a little bit of time fishing. Neither one of them fished very much. They fished a little. Uncle Vern fished in the winter time through the ice, and I'd go with him and Aunt Hazel. My dad I don't ever remember my dad doing that. But my dad and mother would fish in the spring when the bluegills was biting. We'd go up there to Narrow Lake, drive down and back at Coates's farm. They let us drive in there down next to the lake, and we'd fish from shore and catch bluegills when they was bedding. So that's sort of how that went. And back then there was a lot of ponds, and the ponds all had mushrats in them. And of course there was swampy areas. The ground was not very well drained yet. Hadn't been much tiling done. There wasn't much draining done. So there was a lot of fur, and there was a lot also of pheasants. I'll have to tell another story about that. Pheasants and rabbits was just a lot of them. And of course I started out hunting those. I think that's about all we want to upload for this session. So that sort of gives you an idea of why I was sitting here on this bottom step, remembering my dad when he used to come down here and skin mushrats after he got the milking done at night in the fall when he trapped. So thank you for watching.